It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Reportedly, a few names in the NFL receiving franchise tags as we get closer to tomorrow's 3 p.m. Central deadline. The three names we've heard so far, all tight ends, as David Njoku of the Browns, Dalton Schultz of the Cowboys, and Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins are all reportedly set to be tagged. Also, offensive lineman Orlando Brown of the Kansas City Chiefs. Tennessee basketball is the new number 9 team in the country in the latest AP poll, tied with Purdue. Both teams receive the exact same amount of votes as we head into conference tournament time, where Tennessee will tip things off on Friday in the SEC quarterfinals, taking on the winner between South Carolina and Mississippi State. Tennessee has hired a wide receivers coach on the football field. Kelsey Pope, an offensive analyst last season in 2021, has been promoted from within to replace the outgoing Cody Burns, who is now the wide receivers coach for the New Orleans Saints. Pope's previous coaching experience all came in either the FCS or the Division II level. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once, and your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Woo, Blaine and Mickey, happy Monday to you. What's going on, everybody? You dodging the rain out there? It's supposed to get a little cooler today, but we're going to keep you hanging out with us.
You wasn't dodging the rain, man. You got that nice little vehicle there, man. Tell us what you got there, man. I'm waiting to go on the tour. Give me a ride in it and everything else. I want to know what it looked, man. I had to park next to it. I was so excited. I forgot all about that you were, going to get it. So
After 10 years.
Tell everybody what you got, man.
After 10 years.
10 years? It's only been 10. I thought it was like 20 years you had that Toyota.
Only 10. I have a daughter who turned 16 who wanted a vehicle, and we said, well, we'll go look for some stuff for you. And she said, I would like your truck. To which I said, are you nuts?
Yeah.
And she said, nope, that's what I want. I mean, I've had it for most of her life.
Right. Well, that she wanted it because you said earlier because that's what she learned how to drive in.
Learned how to drive in it.
Yeah, she's comfortable with it.
So it's a 2010 Tacoma. If you listen to shows I'm on, you've heard me speak with reverence about this truck of mine. So now my 16-year-old daughter will be driving it. So if you just be careful if you see it on the road, know that she will be coming and driving it. So I bought a Ford Bronco. So I had to order it. I had to wait a while, but I flew on a really tiny plane to get it. My friend owns a Ford dealership in Arkansas, and I flew there to get it on an 8-seat plane in 30-mile-per-hour winds.
Oh, how'd that go?
When I got out, I kissed the runway in Jonesboro.
What, you kissed the runway? Oh, man, it was that bad, huh?
I kissed.
Oh, man.
It was 30 miles per hour wind taking off. It was 30 miles per hour wind landing. Apparently, there's wind in clouds. Who knew? Because clouds are just flimsy things in the air.
Well, I'm glad you're here with us. The way you scared me, man.
They hold a lot of wind. Apparently, when you fly over bodies of water, even a river or a small lake in a tiny plane, it causes turbulence above the water. I found this out from the only other gentleman who was on the flight with me.
Learned a lot about aviation this weekend.
Well, one thing is positive here, you had a lot of leg space.
There were no handles or anything to grab onto. I had my feet on the seat in front of me, bracing myself into the seat the whole way.
No peanuts?
Did you get any service?
No, there's no service. When we got on the plane, the pilots, they're you can see them. Like you could go tap them on the shoulder. It's a little commuter service that this is the 4th flight that it had done from Jonesboro to Nashville. But there's a commuter public airline that flies from Nashville to Jonesboro, Arkansas and back 6 days a week. And it also flies from Jonesboro to St. Louis and back 6 days a week. Those only 2 cities. There's an airplane that flies to my hometown for $50. You can fly.
Oh, $50.
$50.
Okay.
You can. It's actually less than that before the fees. So they weigh you before you get on the plane to make sure they match up the weight. But there are only 2 people flying, so they said it doesn't matter what you weigh today. But they still weighed us. He sat in the seat. We sat. There were 4 rows of seats. We sit right next to each other. There's nothing between us and the pilots. Those guys get on, start the propeller, had a propeller, and they turn around and go, welcome to flight, 11 to Jonesboro. We're going to be in the air about an hour and 30 minutes, and we're going to experience some turbulence today because it's windy.
Wow.
And
that would have scared the living crap out of just the plane itself for my wife. She would not get on one. I remember we were going overseas somewhere that happened. We had a commuter to like a little island. I can't remember where it was. She was like, I cannot do that.
I did it. I did it one time.
She has turbulence issues.
And the guy next to me is like, the guy who was next to me used to own the Dr. Pepper bottling company in Northeast Arkansas. I knew who he was.
Okay.
And I said, "You sold it?" And he goes, "Yeah, I sold it." I said, "What do you do now?" And he goes, "I drive motor coaches." He said, "I actually live in Franklin, but I have a house still in Arkansas and fly back and forth." I said, "Motor coaches, like bands?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Who do you drive for?" And I won't say his name. I don't want to release anything. He said, "Who were your favorite bands when you were a kid?" I said, like Kiss and Motley Crue. He goes, "I drive both of them."
Oh, wow.
And he said, "I also drive the Avett Brothers." He goes, "That's a much more quiet bus." So anyway, he was giving me all these tips about, because he flew a little plane. So he got me there and talked to me all through aviation about small planes. And it may be a one and done deal for me. I don't know. I'll never fly again when it's windy on a plane like that. I can promise you.
Yeah.
So I cheated death and I made it there.
Well, we can tie this into wind. It must have been a lot of wind at the NFL Combine, the way these dudes was flying around there in these 40-yard dashes.
Well, you were there. You were there at the end of the week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was there. Yeah. I was down on the field. Yeah, I was seeing them up close in person. I videoed Cade Mays. I think I got the last end of the old line there, him doing the, I think, the shuttle drill. Yeah, the shuttle drill, 20-yard shuttle. But, yeah, man, it was I'd actually never been, like, in Lucas Oil. Like, I mean, where I was kind of a fan, so that was a little different than up in their suites they have for the Legends community, right up above where Peyton Manning's name is up there, Harbaugh and some other guys, Hinton, whose kid was in it.
Is Harbaugh retired by the Colts, or his name on the Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
I'll be danged. I mean, there's a good quarterback there, but
93 to 97.
It was a quick trip.
Yeah. His name is up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes you wonder if it needs to be some more names over here.
I don't know, man. I think they have different criteria over there. But
4 years.
So it was really just awesome just to see it from that viewpoint, being a former player who actually was in part of the event, and then now years later just to kind of watch and see how the event has evolved. And one thing I really noticed that I really thought was a great job by the league, I've been saying it for a long time, but not knowing what strategy I would use, is how they run the 40. And that is putting them in smaller groups. And then that way they get to run their second go-round and not wait for like 30, 20 minutes or whatever it is. Then they get to run probably, with 3-4 guys in a group, get to run pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. That way you don't see as many pulls. I don't know if I ever saw anybody. Actually, I'm sure somebody got strained or something. But, yeah, I thought that helped out a lot. But they've kind of advanced some of the drills, even with the DB drills. But still the same old, deal. But, man, it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to be next year if it moves, since they saying it's going to move. So, because they got the hospital and doctors and everything else right there. So you got I'm sure they'll work it all out and get there way before and months before to make sure to scout it out. But they still may have to have buses provided to drive them, further distances if you have it at some of these nice remote locations compared to the Colts.
It sounds like
in Indianapolis.
A couple things I noticed in reading about it today. They were going to play music this year and make it more fan-friendly. Apparently, the music didn't last long before somebody running the drills was like, "You better turn this off now." So they never turned it back on.
Oh, I never heard the music. I think I heard it like in between, like when they were coming out and stuff like that. But I never heard them once they started.
They were going to do it like during the drills and stuff. And apparently, the guys running the drill on the first day was like, "We can't work." So they shut it off and never turned it back on. And apparently, there's also a big push to keep it in Indy, because of how well, like you said, everything's there.
Yeah,
everything is there.
They're going to have to make some adjustments, I'm sure, at other facilities. The one thing about that was real clear to me, this has nothing to do with the Combine. I talked about how nice that stadium is. The Titans have to get a new stadium.
That was my next question.
Just buy that suite that I was in all the way across the deal. The Titans really don't have any, so you can have a personal one.
Right.
But, that was just one of them. It was insane. It's a massive, massive stadium. It's totally different field and everything than Nissan Stadium. Yeah, they're behind.
But they're not even in the same world of each other.
That's what I'm getting at.
One is an old school concrete
it's
stadium.
It's like talking about I played and then we're talking about today. It's a big gap.
Okay.
It's a big gap. It's almost a no-brainer. They have to. It just became even more clear. If you're trying to continue to grow this city and get it to, let's just say, the mountaintop where everybody is looking at, let's have something there nationally in Nissan Stadium or in Nashville. big events, it's a no-brainer.
I've been at Jerry World before. Years ago when it opened, I actually wound up getting to go to a game there, and it looks like something from outer space. You know, the ends of it open up. They just open almost like garage doors, and they're standing room only. So that's why when you watch, there are all these people just standing back there. That's their ticket, and they can kind of walk in and out depending.
They
on
like a fan area too, right there. You can see the players coming out. Yeah.
So they got all this stuff, but your ticket only got you to certain parts. There, like at Nissan Stadium, you just walk around the bottom of it. And then if you go to the top, you can walk from one end to the other, but you can't walk around, obviously, because it ends on both sides. Jerry World, you can only go to certain places. There's only a few places where you can walk around the stadium.
Based off your seating.
Based on where your seat is. They're like, I'm sorry, man, we can't let you in here. It's almost like, Lucas would remember this, but if people remember the old Music City Mix Factory, where it was like all these multiple clubs in one down on 2nd Avenue, that's the way the Cowboy Stadium is. So you can go to different parts of it depending on how much you pay.
I just want to be in the part they said where they got some dancers.
Well,
Lucas said that's the only reason why he wanted to go.
The cheerleaders stand on the wall in the end zone for times during the game. Look right in front of you. My seats were in the end zone.
On the wall?
On the top of the wall. It's flat and wide like the top of a dugout. And I remember watching the game, and the cheerleaders were dancing on top of the wall, like just in front of, the bottom few rows of people.
Sounds like your type of party.
No, it was a party. This was the game where...
Could your plane fly in there and just sit down and nobody even notice it? That you were on going to Jonesboro?
You could have landed the plane that I was in inside the building. It wasn't much bigger. If you have one of those big Raptor trucks or something from start to finish...
Oh, yeah, the Raptor, yeah.
That was as long as this plane that I was on. So, my wife...
you got back here safe.
My wife called me. I'm like, I made it. But I feel like I cheated death. She goes, I'm sure Blaine will ask you about that. This would be a good story for the show. I said, yeah, that's the show we are. I almost died this weekend. But, hey, what a great story for the show.
I'm glad you're here. I don't know what we would do.
Oh, you and Lucas, nobody would even remember I was on the show in 3 days. Lucas would take
that
over.
Is not true.
No, that's this business, man. You're
man.
Gone, and 24 hours later, people are just excited about
the next guy. So you try to
guy.
compare it to, NFL too? I mean, like sports? I mean, as soon as you're done, they forget about you.
Well, the NFL is the ultimate they forget about you. I mean, NBA... And it's funny, this wasn't on the teleprompter. We didn't script this out for today.
We never did.
But think about
the way you said that.
Think about, though, how long the NBA looked for its next Michael Jordan. And they kept calling it, like, Grant Hill, he's the next Jordan. Remember, Harold Miner was Baby Jordan.
Yeah.
The NFL never looks for the next anybody. I mean, it's more popular now than it's ever been. And Peyton Manning retired, and Joe Montana retired, and it doesn't matter who retires.
Tom Brady.
And people watch dudes running spandex pants. I don't think he's retired. Now, how that happens, I don't know. But I don't think he's retired. Let me ask you this, because I know we got to take a break. We'll do Ding Dong of the Week coming up next. Was there a buzz there about a person or a certain position group, or was there a thing that people were really talking about, even on, like, the day you were there?
Davis from Georgia. That massive human being running and doing what he was doing was just outright just crazy. I mean, and everybody was trying to say, well, he's not a good of a pass rusher. He showed that he has that in his repertoire based off some of the drills and what he was doing. I don't know who's been training with him now. Maybe he was that way. I didn't watch him every game. I just watched him really a couple games. But I was still impressed. This took it to a whole nother level. I think a lot of people were saying he was a top 20 pick and that he can't rush the passer, and that's a big deal. Well, I think he solidified he can. And the way he ran, not only that, but his agility and his handwork, rushing the passer, I think he's got to go top 10. And as much as, like, people get wild about somebody running a 4.2, that's how much I was wild about his performance and what he ran and then what he looked like doing the drills. I said my big deal when I got in the league wasn't about how fast some guys were. It was really the big men that were as fast as you in a 10-yard space here. And it's like, oh, my gosh, you saw that 300-pound guy run? He was running stride for stride with you for the first 10 yards.
Right.
Yeah, and then they just run out of gas. But, so it's still there. I wasn't real impressed. That's part of one of my ding-dongs is, it's hard to judge, and I know why people get fascinated because it is really incredible to watch some guys run 4.2, which is like, wow. But you got to match that up with, do they look like that and play like that in game speed? It's totally different. And I'm going to add to that with equipment on and somebody in front of you or somebody on the other side of you, whether you're a receiver or a defensive back? Do you still run the same? So is your game speed equating to what this time says? Because with the way that all these guys are running that fast, I'm like, well, dang, they should have known this coming in here.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that. I know the training has gotten a lot different for some of these guys, so it's really helped them out a lot, and they're well-schooled in how to run these 40s. But when you go back and look, you say, man, is he that fast? 4.2 is whirly. Now we're talking about like the Deion Sanders type speed.
Right.
Chris Johnson type speed. You go, whoa, I don't know if it's that many of these dudes like that. And that was kind of impressive. So I see how fast a lot of those guys was running. But I just don't know if that's equating when you go back and watch film. So I'm sure now a lot of scouts and GMs are going back now and saying, whoa. Let's go back and look at this guy and reassess where we're at here with this kid and see if he really looks like he's that fast. Then all of a sudden you see a 4.5 receiver running right by him in equipment. You go, well, how is that if he runs a 4.2? And I guarantee it's that they're going to see it. So everybody gets infatuated with the numbers. Everything needs to be part of the piece to the puzzle in your evaluation. Someone's like, don't draft Trey McBride because he benched only whatever it was. I don't know what he did. They thought he was weak. Well, that's part of the process. Yeah, do you need to be strong? Yes. But you don't have to be super strong. I knew guys that did it 6 times and in the NFL was killers.
Right.
So, it doesn't always equate to saying you're going to have success in this league or you will or won't. It helps in evaluation, but it's not the end-all be-all for sure.
Well, when we come back, we'll do Ding Dong of the Week. Our guy Eric is already on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. If you want to get there, 615-737-1045. The young man from Georgia he's talking about is Jordan Davis.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also give you his numbers, and they will blow your mind. It's next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. I saw like one of those combine winners and losers.
Who was that? Well, all the Georgia guys were winners. Let me just say that right now.
One of the lists just said Georgia.
Oh,
it said national championship game winner, combine winner. Jordan Davis that Blaine was talking about, he 6'6" 3/8".
That means he's really 6'7".
341 pounds. He broad jumped 10'3". His 40-yard dash was 4.78. And nobody listening to this, unless you ran like college track or you're young and you just played sports at the highest level, nobody listening can run what this 341-pound guy can run. That's where we are in sports now. I think they said
that was the fastest time in combine history for somebody over 300 pounds or something, 320 or something. It was some crazy number they came out with. It was just like, wow. He didn't even, and it would look like he was really agile. And just, man, it was wow. He didn't even look like that even at Georgia. So he's been working. I know, I think Chuck's trained him, Chuck Smith that we've had on, but I don't know if that's who he trained with for the combine. I hadn't talked to him about that, but this guy, wow. I want to see if that talent that we just saw, all of that, he should be coming in right immediately and pretty soon dominating in the national football. And I mean that seriously, that, it should gradually start being a process where he starts looking like, oh, okay, he's a good player. Then he starts saying, this guy's a problem. I'm going to have to start doubling him. Then it goes like, well, that's not enough. He's a handful. He's going to dominate in this league. And that should happen with him within a couple of years just because of his massive size.
It was amazing. I watched his workout. Just everything about how this guy moved was not even human. Mondays at this time, we do Ding Dong of the Week, courtesy of our friends at Mark Spain. Go to markspain.com. Get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing, or as we like to say, don't be a ding dong. Use Mark Spain. As always, our friend Eric in Nashville will lead us off. Eric, how in the world are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. I've got 3 ding-dongs, so here we go. Ding-dong number 1. Guys, look, I heard a story about this over the weekend. I hope and pray it's not true, but if this is true, it is totally disgusting. Number 1 is the Dallas Cowboys. I'd heard a report. We thought that Rich Dalrymple was done with the Dallas Cowboys, but apparently they're still paying him. I don't know if he's still on the staff or not. But guys, especially when he was caught red-handed, allegedly, in either the locker room or bathroom with the cheerleaders, the fact that we report that some fans saw him using the cell phone to upskirt Jerry Jones' daughter's dress. You should not have anything to do with this guy, and if you're still paying him, that is totally disgusting, and shame on you if that's true. Ding-dong number 2, guys. Listen, one of the things I don't like to do is to get into issues of politics because all the political stuff drives me nuts. There are people on both sides of the aisle that drives me nuts. But then ding-dong number 2 has got to go to the lady that interrupted President Biden during his speech last week. Listen, guys, you can have your feelings on that. I get it. And also, too, to the female, Republican representative that joined in. But just to do that, and I don't care who the president is, whether you're Democrat, Republican, anybody that does that or is trying to give a speech, it is so disrespectful. You got to do that. If you want to have an argument or beef with them, do it after the speech is over, not during that. Because to me, when you do that, you're making it about you. And my last ding-dong, guys, this is kind of more comical. You may have seen this. I didn't see it live, but I saw a report over it on the weekend. But my ding-dong has to go to the contestants on Wheel of Fortune. Apparently, there was a puzzle that said a feather in your cap, but they were saying stuff like a feather in your hat already when the H and the T were showing. Then they showed a P, and they said a feather in your lap and a feather in your map, but it was a feather in your cap. It took 2 minutes for them to solve it, and people were screaming at the TVs, guys. Guys, I'm not a very smart person, but even I could have got that. It's just like sometimes you wonder, where do they get these contestants from? So, guys, those are my 3 ding-dongs. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
Eric, we can't wait to hear about your ding-dong again next week.
Yeah, no, the multiple ones.
Yes, Eric always has. He went political, sports, and then just general concern for people with the
pop culture
ding-dong. By the way, the Wheel of Fortune thing that he's talking about is one of the most painful things you'll ever watch.
Yeah. Well, you know what happened? I think people get nervous. People forget they're on TV, and then you sit at home on your couch, and it's easy, right? And then, because my wife gets immediately like, what are they doing? And I'm like, I'm still there going, oh, what is that?
I never guess any
And
of
I
them.
say, I want to see the camera on you, and I want to see if you can do as well as you do at home right there when his people are standing up in the camera and everybody's watching. I think you're going to push panic mode here. It's going to be like you flying on a plane like Mickey and you nothing to grab onto.
There were no handles on that plane.
Feather in your map got me. That one got me good.
Oh, man.
Lap, map, all was fantastic. You got a ding dong you want to share with us. Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline is open to all ding dongs right now. So,
yeah, we tweeted out also, or you did.
Side question. What is the worst experience that you've ever had on a plane? If you want to make that part of Ding Dong of the Week, because I was giving Blaine some more details on this. He said, was this your worst experience? I said, oh yeah. I've been on some small planes before, but this particular plane had huge windows. So it looked like you were just going to fall out of it at any given time.
My.
While you were going like up and down and all around, and they were like, and there was no like, I just let you guys know there's going to be. They would turn around and go, "There's going to be some turbulence up here."
What?
There was no.
They didn't have it a mic.
They were 3 seats away from us. They just said it.
Oh my. Okay, since there were no like seat handles, what did you grab onto when it starts having turbulence? What did you do?
There was a little partition rope that was on my side of the plane that I guess
a rope.
A rope, like, and it was like a chain, but it had a plastic cover around it. Just like to keep you from going in a doorway at the movie or something, but not the big velvet rope. It was just like a skinny one. And I guess they would partition off the last 2 rows of the plane if they didn't want anybody to sit that far back, because I told you they weighed
So it's in the aisle.
No, it wasn't in the aisle. It was on my wall. But my wall was also the emergency door. And this plane was so small, I was afraid if I grabbed the rope too hard, I'll jar the door open.
Oh, I might have moved my seat to the other one.
I couldn't, because there were only 2 people flying. So they made us sit next to each other. And this dude next to me was so calm, like nothing was going on.
So you felt like something was wrong with you.
Yeah. And he was like, "You don't like to fly." And I'm like, "Look, man, when Jesus is ready to harvest my soul, it doesn't matter where I'm going to be. I'm not going to jump out of the plane today and attempt to meet him. It's not the fear of death. It's just I'm so motion sick right now. I feel like I'm going to die. I'm not worried about dying.
Right.
Like, you're going to die when you die.
Right.
I'm not cheating death in any way. I didn't go up to the plane to jump out of it.
So you were holding on to this rope.
I was holding on to a rope, and I had both feet buried into the seat in front of me. There was nobody sitting there.
Oh.
There were no handles. There were no, like, our seats have handles. There were no handles.
So
it was just a seat.
Rope and
I'm holding onto a rope.
Put your feet and locked yourself in there.
To my left, and I had both my feet buried into the seat in front of me. My knuckles were white because I was holding on to this thing.
Well, so the rope wasn't cutting your hands or anything then? Huh?
No, I had like a rubber wrapper around it.
Okay.
But this thing looked like, just think of any picture you've ever seen of 1976. That's what it looked like in this thing.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like that.
I'm sweating.
You, Lucas, man, I know you've been worldly. You travel all over the place. I would imagine you've flown on a plane like that to Brazil or something.
Yeah, a couple of them, like the little bitty ones that take you from like Birmingham to Atlanta. Those are the ones that cause issues, right? The big international flights.
Have you ever seen a rope inside of a?
No, I've never ridden like a private situation like that, like small town hangar. Never ever. It's just been in and out of airports.
I should have taken a picture of the rope because it saved me.
We did get hit by a bunch of turbulence when I was a kid once, probably like 12 years old, with a cart. The drink cart was right next to me, and just orange juice got dumped all over me.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, though, it's been pretty smooth.
Oh, so that's probably one of your great experiences.
Let's
and my experience always about my wife, because she can't handle turbulence.
Well, don't ever,
even on a big plane.
Oh, don't ever do
we
this.
Just go like an air pocket. We just go like you're on a roller coaster. She goes and grabs and just claws my arm like boom, and I want to scream. And so I started being like, I'm gonna move my arm before she gets there. I'm like, move it right when we go to the turbulence. I move it. And then she grabs the chair. I mean, the handle, the armrest.
She would have pulled your arm out of the socket on this.
Yeah, I've gotten enough scrapes, man. It's right there. It's right there where my scar from my broken forearm, man. She's right there.
Grabs your bad arm.
Yeah, she got me.
Let's
times, man.
Let's check in with Aiden in Mount Juliet, who wants to share a ding dong with us. Aiden, tell us about your ding dong.
My ding dong is 10 inches long.
Wow.
Ooh, I missed that. Who?
Ding dong of the week, ding dong.
My balls are big.
Okay.
What did he actually say?
He was saying bad things.
Oh, I couldn't even hear him.
He was taking a very literal meaning of this, so he wanted to be in trouble. We have a side question along with.
Whoa! Wait, pump the brake, Lucas. What did he tell you he wanted to do?
Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers was his ding dong of the week for taking an eternity to make up his mind.
Okay, but then he said like nasty things.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man.
He didn't even say anything about Aaron Rodgers, though.
No, he did not. He said other things that were more
he was
graphic
trying to
in nature.
be a little sly dog there.
Well, one thing people don't understand about that is when they do that, nobody can hear it because you dump it and it just snipes it right off the air because of the delay. So you could do it again, but it would just be a waste of your time.
Right.
We have a side question just along with Ding Dong. Zach says my Ding Dong of the week, the rest for the Tennessee-Arkansas game. That was on my list. A 5-minute delay at the end of a game to see who touched the ball last. Chris in Thompson Station, worst airplane experience.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing great, man.
So, 2001, I was in the Army, and every night when you were airborne, you had to do a jump once a month. Well, I didn't know I had to jump the next day, so that night I went out and got wasted. I mean, just hammered. Well, I get a phone call at like 4 o'clock in the morning, like, hey, you're on the manifest for the jump. You need to get here. So, I get myself up and hurry the post, get in my gear, get JMPI, and get on the plane. Well, when you jump out of an airplane, when they get ready to do low-level flight, which is anywhere from 800 feet to 2,000 feet, they start doing racetracks. Now, imagine the worst turbulence you can have on purpose for about anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes every time. So my stomach is literally like having, Mount St. Helens, bubbling going on inside. Well, they instead of stand up, look up, and you start, getting ready to shuffle towards the door. Well, I get to the door, the jump master kicks me out the plane, and I'm fine until opening shock. That's when your canopy opens up. And when it opened up, I opened up. The projectile vomit went out, it went up. The guy behind me, whatever I drunk that night, he drunk it too. He got all of them.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you for that. Oh, man.
Better him than me.
Lonzo gives himself a ding dong of the week because he said he only saw Batman twice instead of 3 times.
Was it any good? I'm having conflicting, deals about Batman. Somebody told me it was horrible, a waste of the 3 hours of their time, and then I've heard a lot of people say that it was great.
I've heard nothing but good reviews.
Yeah. I'm like, man, maybe this is the outlier. That one person wasted their 3 hours of their day.
Let's. RJ in Phoenix said he heard the comments earlier. If you're online, you hear everything. If you're on the radio, you don't necessarily hear the stuff that we dump out. John in Franklin is next to slide in with the ding dong here. What's going on, John? Let's keep it clean.
Yeah.
Is
this LSU Alabama game, CBS on Saturday, the way they just cut away from the game when it was tied like 72-all with like seconds left or a minute left to go to Kentucky game. Just cut away from it.
Yeah, people lost their mind about that. Thank you for the call.
It was a close game, too?
Went to overtime.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah,
they cut away and said, all right, go watch on the app. Here's Kentucky basketball.
When I'm getting ready to cheat death on that little plane, I was watching the Vols on my phone, and in this, where I catch the flight, it wasn't in the big airport. It was in like a commuter-type airport. They had that game on. I'm like, wait a second, where did that game go? Then I looked at Twitter, and people were big mad about it, except for Kentucky fans who were like, yeah, bring it on. Who cares how that game ends?
That shows who controls the needle.
100%. If you wonder, that tells you everything you need to know.
Never have done that, man. Watch this. They should have went old school, Lucas. Picture in the picture.
I don't know. Hey, they should do that.
Yeah, I mean, why not, man?
Why not?
I don't know.
I mean, most of the time, they direct you to watch the start of the next game on the stream and finish out that broadcast, not the other way around. But because it's Kentucky basketball, I'm sure some phone calls were made.
Oh, Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina. There's a handful that's like, oh, no, we're going to go ahead and go to that game. If you want to see this thrilling ending, though, you're going to have to watch it on your phone.
Better pull out your laptop.
Real quick, guys.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one there, Zach.
Zach says the Duke assistant coach who didn't show sportsmanship after the game is a ding-dong. Just shake the man's hand. Come on, man.
That was a big one.
Got about a minute and a half. Lucas, was your ding-dong the Tennessee replay situation? I have that on my list.
Yeah, I was going with that last sequence there at the end. A college basketball game should never, ever last 2.5 hours, especially a game that doesn't go into overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, that was insane. And I understand that every time they reviewed it, I was fine with them reviewing it because it was questionable. Who did it go off of? About 2 minutes left. Hugely important calls in a close game. But on the very last one, when Vescovi kind of like touched it and then put his arms up, pretending like he didn't touch it and went out, they go to review, and you can see it on the first or second time on the replay. Okay, that's Arkansas ball. But over 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Over 5 minutes for a review. And that is an official time clocked by Tom Hart and Jimmy Dykes. Over 5 minutes of a review is insanity that late in a game for a call that was not that, blur. Like, it was kind of, you could tell what happened, make the call, and let's move on. That was absurd. I had never seen anything like that at the end of a ball game.
I would love to see Lucas upset.
Oh.
Because when he just said insanity, that's like the most I've seen him like, and that wasn't even upset. That was just like, this is ridiculous.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just need the right Titans or Vols loss, and you can see that version.
Oh, I want to see him. I'm gonna catch him. I'm gonna have somebody film him. I'm gonna catch him at a UT game or a Titans game, and when he's upset and pissed off for a call or something, or a fumble or something.
Like, some people punch walls when they have gut punch losses. Every shred of energy just leaves my body, and I'm just like staring at a wall.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, it's the opposite. Yeah.
All right, real quick, Hitman, a ding-dong because we've got Bart Brooks right next, Lucas from Belmont coming up, so we'll jump to him in just a second. They've already clinched a spot in the women's NCAA tournament.
Well, really, I always want to be topical. Mine is about the combine, and that is, everybody gets fascinated with the 40-yard dash, as I mentioned. But there's always other pieces to the puzzle, and just got to know that, and just don't get so overwhelmed as players thinking that as fans, that's going to be the cure to, let's say, we're going to get a deep threat now. Well, if he ran a 4.3. Everybody in America should have known that he was that fast.
Right.
We should have saw him on TV. We should have seen him on film. If he went to a small school, maybe you didn't. But, so just make sure we put all the pieces together. Do your due diligence. Go back and watch a little bit of film on him. See if he was that fast, whether you're on offense, receiver, or if you're a defensive back. Maybe you have tight hips, but you're good at running straight line. Well, if you can't get out of your breaks and everything else, then that speed doesn't come into play really initially. So, let's just don't get, we need to get that guy because he's fast. Or another one is, because he only bench pressed, 6 reps and he's a tight end or whatever. Someone tweeted me that Trey McBride only did I don't know what he did, 18 or something. Just because you did a low amount of reps doesn't mean he won't have success in the National Football League. Doesn't mean he is strong when he's up there pushing people, let alone weight. So don't, judge people based off of just these exercises. Go back and watch them on film and see if that, equates to a successful football player. And I get it. He's fast. You'll be faster. Well, guess what? My whole thing is I think they should run with equipment on. I think people think that's funny, but and it is somewhat. But some people don't run well with equipment on. Like, when I say that, I'm talking about if you're let's just use an example, 4.3 guy, you may actually run like a 4.5 guy in equipment. A 4.5 guy may actually run the exact same thing with equipment on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you're not getting the true assessment of, what's really going on with a player. You got to have some guidelines, and that's what the combine is.
Well,
and everybody at the same spot at the same time.
Sure.
To compare them.
Speaking of running, we got to run because Bart Brooks, Belmont head women's basketball coach, going to join us. They're the first team to clinch a spot in the tournament. We'll discuss that more next on Blaine and Mickey. Oh, okay. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Let's talk a little hoops. I mean, why not talk to the guy who put his team in March Madness first? Bart Brooks joins us now. Ladies head basketball coach at Belmont. Coach, how in the world are you doing, man? You got to be feeling pretty good.
Fellas, I'm fantastic. There's not a better day for a coach to be sitting here watching these other basketball games, knowing we're still playing and getting to play in the NCAA tournament.
You're like that guy who goes to the Olympics and your event is first. So you run your race or, ski down your hill, and then you just get to enjoy the next few days. That's a heck of a place to be in. And by the way, this is 6 of 7 years for this program to get in. You guys just continue to keep things rolling.
Yeah, I tell you what, being done early is amazing, because I think this is one of the most fun weeks of sports, being a sports fan that there is, just because there's so many tournaments and there's so much excitement and so many unknowns, and I get to sit there like a fan and with my popcorn and enjoy it with no stress, and that has been really a blessing that we've been in, and really get to enjoy this week.
Absolutely. He's at Bart A. Brooks on Twitter. You can follow him there. Again, the Belmont ladies clinched their ticket to March Madness, and we're talking to the head coach right now, Blaine and Mickey.
It's Bart Blaine here, man. Fantastic. Congratulations to you ladies and you, of course. But, man, you held a team to 29 points. Do you know what the record is? Because I don't. To me, that feels like a record of holding somebody 29 points. I'm sure it's not. But that is pretty impressive play and defensively anyway. So kind of take us through what, if you know the record, tell us. And then how did you guys manage to do that?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's a record, but I tell you what, it was not a pleasant halftime. We had it was a 17-14 halftime score, and so we were playing great defensively, but we were playing equally lousy on the offensive end of the floor. And, it was a really interesting game, and it was a lot of credit to our players. I think sometimes when you struggle offensively, that leads to some let up and focus and energy on the defensive end, and that never happened for our group, and we were able to get a little separation in the third quarter, and that 29 points, if you'd have told me that was their halftime score, I'd have been happy, let alone a whole game score. So really excited that our group came together at the right time.
I guess tell us a little bit about your philosophy and what you want to see out of your team when they go onto the court, because I see you got the Defensive Player of the Year as well, so you obviously emphasize playing a lot of good defense, but, kind of take us through us being like a fly on the wall and kind of what you encourage the ladies to do when people watch your teams play.
Well, it'd probably be the furthest thing from anyone's mind if they watched us practice that we were a great defensive team, because we spend very little time working on the defensive end of the floor. And I think so much of what we do defensively is we give our players a lot of freedom to play fast and be aggressive and make decisions. And I think the longer the season goes and the more they play together, the more that those decisions become in sync, and those guys can make those quick, aggressive decisions, and everyone understands where their teammates are going to be. And I think at this time of year, if a team is aggressive and confident, they're really, really hard to beat. And I think our team is both of those things. And, philosophically, I know defensively that's going to give you a chance when you don't shoot the ball well, if you lock in and guard. But man, I'd have loved to score 100. That'd have been. I love putting the ball in the basket, and for whatever reason that didn't happen for us on Saturday. But thankfully, we were able to play defensively a really, really locked in, great basketball game.
Kind of take us through the journey throughout the season, and then now your mindset going into the tournament, and does that change from what it started out in the beginning of the season going into the tournament? Kind of take us through, what you coaches and you as the head coach kind of encourage the ladies of, what's the expectations going into this tournament?
Yeah, well, coming off of last year, the first tournament win in program history, we upset Gonzaga in the first round, and lost to a really good Indiana team who made a run to the Elite Eight last year in the second round, and that momentum, I think, carried itself through our off-season preparation. I think there was a lot of confidence, a lot of excitement around our program, and I scheduled accordingly. I probably put too much in front of our players too quickly. I mean, we played 5 games against the top 30 opponents in the net this year, and 4 of those were on the road, and 5 of those were on the road. All of them were on the road. So, we really challenged our players early. And we weren't very good early. So it was kind of a perfect storm of bad things that can happen to your program, that we were competitive, we were in the games, but we couldn't figure out a way to win them. And we entered conference play with a 4-5 record, but we knew we were really good. And I think the record didn't quite reflect how good our team was, because we just hadn't quite figured it out yet. And the ups and downs of a season, the journey that a coach and a team go through together in the middle of a season, it's really what's special about team sports and doing what we get to do for a living, and seeing these young people go from struggle and getting knocked down and having to get back up and having to compete again and getting knocked back down, and just having the resiliency to keep fighting and stay the course and stay together and stay connected. And by the end of the year, we're playing our best basketball right now. And I told our team in the locker room after the game, we played an NCAA tournament caliber schedule in the non-conference season, but we did not play that schedule with the same team that we're going to get to play in this NCAA tournament with, because we're better. And I can't wait to go compete against some of these really good programs. Someone who's really good is going to be on the other side of the floor, and I can't wait to compete with this team.
Coach, on the way out, any idea where you think you guys might be seated? I mean, with your history of getting to the tournament, now getting a win, any you want to ballpark it, guesstimate the seeding you might get?
Yeah, number one. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if not a 1 seed, I'll settle for.
Yeah.
I think on the women's side, the top 4 seeds get to host the first and second round games.
Right.
So if we can avoid being on someone else's home court in the first round, that would be huge. I think it's a huge advantage to play on your home floor in college basketball. So if we can get ourselves to the 12 line, I think that would be great. But you know what? Wherever we go, we're going to play someone really good, and we're just so excited to be in this event and have a chance to represent Belmont, represent this amazing university and this amazing city of Nashville. And I think we take that responsibility. We take it to heart, and we can't wait to go compete.
Well, Coach, you continue to do just that. You and your staff and your players and everybody involved continue to win big and represent the school at the highest level. And we can't wait for selection to see where you guys go, and then to watch you play again. Thanks for the time today, Coach.
Yeah, good luck, Coach.
Appreciate you both. Thanks, fellas.
Yes, sir. At Bart A. Brooks on Twitter. Follow him there at Belmont WBB. I think on Twitter will get you the ladies' basketball account. Time for us to take a break. We'll come back. Hour number 2 coming up next, including Jimmy Wyatt with the big wrap-up from the Combine and all the latest on the Titans.
It is 2:03. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The University of Tennessee has announced it will not hold its orange and white spring game due to renovations happening in Neyland Stadium and no suitable alternate sites available. Instead of a spring game, the Vols will hold an inter-squad scrimmage on the practice field on April 9th. That will be open to recruits, family members, and media. Speaking of Tennessee football, the Vols have their new wide receivers coach. It is Kelsey Pope, promoted from within, spent 2021 as an offensive analyst on Josh Heupel's staff. Pope replaces the outgoing Cody Burns, who is now the wide receivers coach for the New Orleans Saints. We are almost 24 hours away from the franchise tag deadline in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns have officially placed the tag on tight end David Njoku. Also reportedly Dalton Schultz, the tight end of the Cowboys, and Dolphins tight end Mike Gesicki are set to receive the tag, as well as Kansas City Chiefs offensive lineman Orlando Brown. More mid-major college basketball championship action happening tonight. One in-state team looking to punch their ticket to the NCAA Tournament. UT Chattanooga taking on Furman for the Big South Tournament title at 6 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Jim Wyatt's going to join us here in about 20 minutes. We're going to talk about, just get a full wrap-up of the NFL Combine, and we'll find out what's going on latest with the Tennessee Titans. Jim Wyatt was up there, so he can tell us what kind of buzz he heard and what he thought about J-Rob and Vrabel's comments. And we didn't get into this in the first hour, but the biggest, I don't know, thing that got blown out of that whole Combine in it, Titans standpoint this weekend was Pro Football Talk reporting that Aaron Rodgers and his representatives, which goes back to the plausible deniability, because the Titans are like, we haven't talked to anybody about a contract. And Brian Gutekunst, the GM of the Packers, is like, we haven't talked to anybody about a trade for Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. So then it's Aaron Rodgers' agency.
It's his people talking to other people's people. That's how you can say, I haven't talked to anybody. It's because your people talk to their people. So the story out of Pro Football Talk was he was open to stay with the Packers or to go to one of three places: the Broncos, which we've all talked about and heard about, the Steelers, who definitely need a quarterback, and the Tennessee Titans. So here we go again. That happened on Saturday.
Man, you know what I hate about the Combine is it's the season of lies.
Yes.
And you don't know what to believe or not to believe when you're down there. So, really, it made me start thinking, is this real, or has there been conversations? And I think it has been conversations. Whether it's going to happen or not, I would say I doubt it, but you can never say never. So I want to ask everybody else, what would it take if they gave up 4 first-rounders, the Titans, to get in Aaron Rodgers? Would you do it? Would you trade for Aaron Rodgers for 4 first-round picks?
Knowing he might not even be on the team in 4 years.
And it's going to be a blockbuster contract, forever length it is.
Minimum of $40 million.
Oh,
it has to be, right?
Oh, for
45
sure.
maybe.
Minimum. No, yeah, I think you're right on. I mean, he may be asking for 50 a year. I have no idea.
Let's just say it's 45. So that's $180 million. If it's 4 years at 45, $180 million and no first-round draft pick in 22, 23, 24, 25. You would not have another first-round pick until 2026.
Right. This is career ending or extension. I know he just got one for GM
for
Robinson
GM.
And as well as because there's no guarantee you're going to the Super Bowl. I know a lot of people are asking that right now on the chat, but there's no guarantee. He's only won one Super Bowl.
Yep.
So let's get. That's why I've been saying what I've been saying is there's no guarantee if you have an elite quarterback you're gonna win a Super Bowl. There's a whole bunch of Hall of Famers that don't have Super Bowl rings. I mean, I can go down to Warren Moon, and we can go down the list. Dan Marino. I mean, so would you do this to give you a better shot of getting to the Super Bowl? But it's not going to guarantee you that. Would you give up 4 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers with no guarantee that you're going to Super Bowl? That's nothing is guaranteed in sports. That's as we just saw this past season.
Their NFL reporters, Alonzo just said hell no in the Zone TV chat.
I would not do that, but I think that's what it's going to take to get him. If you're going to move, I know we've had this conversation at least initially after the season, but never gone to this depth because of what happened at the combine and all the conversations going out there, and then now that's being reported. And I just kind of ignored it when people were saying that. I just don't think they're going to give up 4 first-round picks.
Murph says I'd give up 2, no more. And
if you give up 2, you're going to have to give up a player too.
Yeah.
They're going to get there. They're going to ask for 4, and then they're going to think they're going to get 3 first-round picks. And if you start saying, well, how about a good player?
Right.
And what player is that? Man, I don't know.
You have to start really looking at their roster and thinking, okay, what does Green Bay need? And okay, then how do you match that up with some guy on the Titans?
I have no idea.
And the reports that continue to somebody said Landry. Well, Landry's a free agent, Murph. You can't trade him. You can't trade a free agent.
Whoa! Oh, our screens.
On this Zone TV chat. The reports that came out Sunday and even today from other NFL reporters didn't mention the Titans. I read everything about
it. Did not.
Peter King's column, Field Yates' column, they both do like the 8, 9, 10-page long thing. They didn't mention it. Rap Sheet, all these guys have basically said they've mentioned the Packers. A lot of people think he's just going to go back there.
I would bet on that too.
The Broncos continue to be
Broncos is number 1.
They continue to be the wild card. Mm-hmm. And the story that came out adjacent to this story was like word from people from the Packers was they would make the price so steep that it would gut the other team. So that way no one would want to trade for him. So when you say 4 first-round picks, they're saying we're going to make it hurt. If you want him, okay. But it's going to crush your next few years of draft to get him. And that would certainly do that.
And nobody would do that. They're either going to say we have him or nobody has him. That's what that said to me.
Maybe we could put out maybe the question is, how many first-round draft picks would you give up for Rodgers? 1, 2, 3, or 4? So I think most people would say, sure, take this year's first round.
Everybody's going to say, the lowest one. I mean, knowing that that's not reality, that's not going to happen. See that?
I would give up 2 for him.
I would, but
I think
it's going to take more than that. I think it's going to take 2 with a high-profile player. Yeah, that's about the lowest they'll go. They're going to ask for 4, knowing that you got to meet somewhere closer to the middle, but they have all the leverage. Whether either you play for us or you retire.
Right. Just don't play.
And also it tells me, if I was them, that they have no faith in Love. That's what it tells me. And so if I was them, I'd be trying to secretly dump Love. Somebody's going to say, well, we loved him, and if we just give you a 2nd and a 3rd for Love or a 1st and a 3rd, you take it. That's what I would do. I wouldn't be trying to. Aaron Rodgers is elite. You can talk about no Super Bowls but 1, but he's you don't win MVP for nothing, man. This guy's an elite player, so I would be trying to make him happy and try to finish his career there.
Vicky says in his own TV chat, no Rodgers, we don't need the Pancha Karma drama queen.
Yep, and he is that. That's what comes with the territory, and they're just like that. You're talking about receivers too. When you want an elite one, you get the diva. And sometimes people don't like diva. It comes with it, the queen of diva, or king, is T.O. Yeah, that's what he is. Strong will, give me the ball. I'm great, and he is, and he's gonna want the ball. Do you want that? I don't think Vrabel and those guys just really want that kind of guy. And Rodgers is, lackadaisical, but yet he's trying to outsmart you at the same time. He's going to do it his way. So he knows he's great. So, what can you tell him to do? Probably tough to work for, like most quarterbacks that are elite and really good. People, Peyton Manning was hard. Peyton Manning went to Denver Broncos only because he knew he could run his offense. The Titans, he wanted to come to the Titans. Guess what? We're going to run our offense. Nope, Peyton, no way. No way, no way, no way. No way, no how. I'm running my offense. And that was just ding-dongish of the Titans to say, well, we're going to run our offense. No. Who was it? Who was the coordinator at that time? I think it was Palmer. Was it Palmer?
Might have been.
Yeah. Ding-dong.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That was the deal.
How does Bud Adams not say, no, we're going to run Peyton's offense? Just go down clean that stuff out of your office. And Peyton's put Peyton's stuff in there. He
would have been chinching at the box office every week. Stadium full. So yeah, man, this is interesting to see where this goes. But I really believe there's no way. I think the Packers is dug in and they're gonna say, "You play for us or nobody."
And it sure sounded last year like they had accommodated all of his wishes. And if you'll just play one more, it'll be nice and easy separation for you next year. We'll just shake your hand, let you leave. That's what we were all led to believe.
Then he goes out there and does MVP, MVP. And then he's up there, Instagramming and everything else. But he's at a wedding. I mean, man, telling us about what he's doing to cleanse himself. I mean, come on, man, get enough of this, man. Come on.
Yeah,
it feels like he's negotiating through the media.
It sure does.
Social media, too.
Oh, no, 100%. That's exactly what he's doing.
Oh, I don't know, in a couple days, and then he just keeps prolonging it.
Well, this is going to take 2 weeks, and that was, over 3 weeks ago now? I mean, you could put that on the ding-dong list for today as well. I mean, if you're new to the show, we do ding-dong of the week on Monday. You could definitely add that, just him holding the NFL hostage, because nobody's going to do anything until his deal gets settled. Because if you're the Steelers, then it's like, okay, we ain't getting this guy. We got to go find our guy. If you're the Titans, you're rolling with Tannehill anyway, but fans can finally stop thinking about it. If you're the Broncos, okay, then who's the quarterback then? But you need the Aaron Rodgers thing to happen, and then everything else can happen after that. So he's kind of holding the whole league hostage at this point.
If anybody been listening to the show, Aaron Rodgers is quasi my favorite quarterback, but I wouldn't even want him at this point. It's just too much around him, too much drama. I don't even think if I was coaching, I want to even deal with all that. Because if you're doing it now, you're going to do it again. I mean, then it's going to be his way or the highway, and I don't think that's how they operate over there.
No, it's the highway over there, it feels like.
We're going to do this thing together. We see you later.
But he'd get here maybe 2 years into his contract, somebody gets a bigger deal, then he's going to want a bigger deal, or some receiver that he wants on the team, and they're like, we're not getting that guy. Then you got that drama. So, yeah, I mean, it's boy, the talent, though. All the talent.
It is.
All the talent. We're talking Titans.
Dropping dimes.
We'll keep doing that next. Jimmy Wyatt set to join us from the Tennessee Titans. We'll talk all Titans next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Got our buddy Jimmy Wyatt joining us now. Jimbo, before we get started with anything, just want to say, man, we've been thinking about you. I know you had some personal stuff you dealt with recently, and recently with your dear sweet mom, and just know, buddy, we love you, and we've certainly been keeping you in our thoughts and our prayers, man.
Well, I appreciate that. She'll be missed, and I will say that people have been very nice to me. And I've kind of she passed away recently, as you mentioned, was buried last Tuesday, and just the kind words that people have said about her and the words of encouragement from to my family have meant a lot to me. She will certainly be missed. She went to a lot of sporting events in her day, from Vanderbilt games to Titan games. She was the one who always told me, hey, when I would get down and sulking about my team losing, that, hey, it's just a game, or just think of how bad the players and coaches feel, when she knew how bad I felt. So she will definitely be missed. There's no question. And but she still, and I haven't told this to any people publicly. I've told it to other people, privately, but she's always been around football her whole life, as I was talking about it, and me with the Titans, and she was buried right next to Mike Heimerdinger, so she'll continue to talk Titans football in heaven, I'm sure, as they I just hope he doesn't tell too many bad stories about me.
It's amazing, and you mentioned this. If you root for a team, you are a family. Now, you may be a big, crazy, dysfunctional family, and you may be spread out all over the world, as we've seen recently with some Titan stories, going as far as to the Ukraine with fans. But it's just nuts how much love you can get from your family, your Titans family. And I know you just experienced that, like you said.
Yeah, and Twitter's usually, and it came from everywhere. Like, part of the reason, I've kind of let people know about my mom's passing was, just because I wanted to kind of shine a light on her. She's such a wonderful person and such a sweet mom. And I was really proud of her, so I want to kind of shine the light on her. But then also, some people who, that maybe knew her, that didn't realize she had passed. I kind of wanted to put the word out, so I put it on Facebook, and I put it on Instagram, I put it on Twitter, and Twitter, as you guys know, can be can turn into a cesspool a little bit at times, just with the negativity and the rumor mill stuff, but there were so many nice comments, and I read every one of them, whether it was on Twitter, whether it was on Instagram, whether it was on Facebook, and it made me feel a lot better, about it. People that knew my mom, had crossed paths with her from being with my dad, or just saw pictures of her and just talked about her smile. It really did make me feel better, and I got a lot of emails from people. So I do agree with you, Mickey, that I think, in times like this, people rally around one another, and I think the University of Tennessee fan base showed that, where they turned to tragedy and, with the house fire to raise money. So, those are the kinds of things in sports I think are wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. Jimmy Wyatt, our guest, TennesseeTitans.com, talking two-tone blue on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Jimbo, first we have to start off, what was your overall observation and position groups, I guess, at the Combine, that you kind of noticed that some were good and some were not so good, as far as groups or anything of that nature, for us to give a, overall view of the NFL Combine?
Yeah, I think more than anything, I think just the speed across the board at some of these positions kind of got my attention. And whether it was, certainly at receiver, you saw so many guys that ran, low times in the 4.2s and the low 4.3s. That was impressive to me. Several other position groups, had guys that flashed. As you guys know, a lot of these top prospects, or several of them, didn't take part, and they're going to kind of, do their thing in the pro day. But there were players that obviously helped themselves, across the board. I think Velus Jones from UT was one of those guys at the receiver position who ran well, and I think he helped himself. And there were several guys like that I think when you see people start to do their top 50s or start doing their position groups, you're going to see some shuffling take place as a result of what happened there.
I know you're down at the combine and all kind of rumors start flying, and you just never know what's true or not. But naturally, Aaron Rodgers' name and teams that he was, I guess, interested in going to. How much do you think this is true about Aaron Rodgers and the Titans' name being involved in it? I thought we had passed this, but it still keeps coming up, so I'm not sure what's true or not.
Yeah, I guess at this point, I mean, you just got to pick who you want to believe and stuff like that.
Right.
Because you got a guy named Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, which by its nature is kind of a rumor mill site that's turned into a little bit more. I mean, obviously they get into some news, but it was created to kind of be a rumor mill site, and a guy like that puts that out there, as you mentioned, Blaine, and I think some people jump on that like that's gospel. And then you've got somebody like Adam Schefter who comes back, less than 12 hours later and completely contradicts that report and says that the Packers haven't talked to anybody, and that if it does turn out that he's not going back to Green Bay, they feel like they could move on the deal relatively quickly. So who do you believe in that? And so that's what what the off season is all about, and that's what happens regularly in free agency. I mean, I remain, feeling like Aaron Rodgers is going back to Green Bay. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe he doesn't go back to Green Bay, but that's kind of been my feeling all along. And if he does get out there in the market, certainly I think any team that needs a quarterback or even thinks they need a quarterback would at least have to kind of poke around and see, what it would take or just what the dynamics would be around that. So, we're going to be dealing with that, with a lot of players here over the next couple of weeks. None of them probably as marquee a name as Aaron Rodgers, but again, it's just kind of what you want to believe. And I know Mike Vrabel and John Robinson were asked about that combine. They certainly backed Ryan Tannehill again, but so we'll just see. I'll be ready for that one to settle in and finally get an answer like everybody else there.
Well, one more question for me, Jim, and it's going to be the toughest one you have all off season that you're going to have to answer, and that is, what are the Titans going to do to address their kicking situation?
Yeah, that is one that remains popular, and it always has been. Titans have had obviously kickers that from going back to Aldo Greco to certainly Rob Aronis and Joe Nedney and Gary Anderson. I mean, they've had so many kickers. Some of those guys I mentioned were kickers for a long time, and that's just not a position you really ever had to worry about. And now the team is kind of in a cycle where it has gone from kicker to kicker. And Sam Ficken, I thought, was going to solve their kicking problems this year, and then he gets hurt, a couple of days before the season starts, and they go to Randy Bullock, who I thought did a solid job this past year. Is this the time? Is this the year that you maybe go out and try to get a kicker that is going to be the guy for you long term? I guess that kind of remains to be seen, but I've got Ficken and Bullock certainly among the candidates, and we'll kind of see who else maybe emerges.
Well, with Jim Wyatt, who covers the Titans on TitansOnline.com.
Jimmy, what do you think about the tight end class down there? Obviously, that's a room where the Titans are going to need to add some people, and the draft could be a great way to do it. Thoughts on the tight end class to combine?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's solid. I mean, I think it's a good group, an intriguing group. With that said, I think there's also some free agents that are intriguing as well. So then it leads to the question: do you feel better about getting a guy in free agency that can come in and help you, and then picking somebody in the tight end group that maybe you develop a little bit more? I mean, the whole position is going to look completely different for the Titans next year. Maybe one of those guys, whose contract's up. Maybe one of those guys comes back. I just got a feeling that could be one of those positions that's going to have a complete overhaul. So I thought, I like the group, and there's some guys, second second day guys maybe that potentially. I think Virginia's got a guy named Jelani Woods. It's an intriguing prospect. He's a huge, and he ran pretty well. Maryland's got a tight end. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Chiga Okonkwo is another guy who ran well and has pretty good size. I mean, I personally feel like Titans going to get somebody in free agency and probably going to draft one as well, and it could get another guy. I mean, I think the cupboard's bare there, so I think that's going to come from a combination of things. Curious to see maybe what comes first. I mean, we're obviously going to get some hints in free agency about where we're going, and that's going to impact what potentially could happen in the draft.
So Mike Vrabel and John Robinson both spoke to national media. Then they did breakouts with local media. Was there anything that either one of those guys said that as you're taking your notes and asking your questions and making your videos, by the way, at Jay Wyatt Sports on Twitter, if people are not following you, I don't know what they're doing with their life. But while all that's happening, did either one of them say anything that you thought, wow, that's really got my attention, that changes the way I think about a specific player or situation or anything? Did you have that with any of it?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think the thing that got my attention the most is just sitting right in front of John Robinson when Chris Harris from Channel 4 kind of asked him about what he would have done differently last year, and you kind of see his tears in his eyes starting to well up there, and he got really emotional talking about that. I mean, I think that is what got my attention more than anything. Although that I don't even know if that counts as a surprise, because I think we all know how passionate John Robinson is and how much this job means to him. But as far as the big things, I mean, he didn't really tip his hand too much. I think the biggest topics from John, I think, were the quarterback, where he talked about Tannehill. Wouldn't surprise you back from there. He didn't really give any clues too much about what's going on with Julio. The offensive line obviously is something that's going to have to be addressed. Taylor Lewan, Roger Saffold, high cap numbers, Ben Jones, a contract that's going to need to be worked through if they can retain him because his contract's up. Didn't give too much of a hint there. Yeah. And then Harold Landry. I mean, we're down to just about 24 hours away from a decision needing to be made on him and whether or not he's going to get the tag put on him. No real clear answers there. They continued to say that expects Zach Cunningham to be back. That might have surprised some, although he kind of touched on that at the Senior Bowl. As far as Vrabel goes, I think two of the more notable things that came from him. One of them, and I think both of them, came from kind of the spillover. He was asked about Dylan Radins and certainly took a chance when somebody asked if he's ready to play or ready to start today. And he says, no, he's not ready to start today. Yeah. But, it's our job to kind of get him up to speed. That was noteworthy. Mm-hmm. And then a question about whether or not they potentially could use A.J. Brown like the 49ers used Deebo Samuel. I thought his answer to that was interesting, at least hinting that maybe they would try to do more with him moving forward, but obviously that's going to be some things that need to be worked through.
Jim Wyatt, our guest at Jay Wyatt Sports on Twitter here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Jim, what was your observation of the quarterbacks at the Combine? Interested to hear your take and kind of give us a chronological order on the guys that you like better than others.
I mean, I think Malik Willis, of all the quarterbacks that were there, I think he's the guy that maybe helped his draft stock the most. I sometimes think I look at winners and losers and what people, kind of how they judge some of these things. I think the Kenny Pickett hand talk is somewhat silly. I mean, this guy, he just got through playing his college ball at Pittsburgh and has played a lot of games in cold weather, and all of a sudden you get his hand size and you think that he's not going to be able to cut in the league. I mean, I chuckle at that, but Corral intrigues me. Want to see him obviously this pro day. I think he is, of all the quarterbacks in the draft. I mean, Ritter's another, intriguing candidate, but I think Corral intrigues me more than any of those guys, more than Pickett, more than Howell. Malik Willis, obviously, I like him too, more than Ritter, because I just think Corral's a really interesting prospect, great athlete. I think he throws the ball really well. He kind of fits what you want to do from being able to run, and that's kind of what the league has turned into a little bit, having a mobile quarterback. So he didn't do anything obviously at the combine, but his pro day and maybe opinions on him is really going to be interesting.
What are some of your one with Jim Wyatt, naturally with the TitansOnline.com, but what are I guess in order do you think the needs are for the team?
And keep in mind, what I'm telling you now may look different.
It can change after free agency.
Yeah,
Yes.
Free agency. But as I look at the team right now, tight end, receiver, offensive line, and I'm projecting a bit there because I just got to, you feel like there's going to be some changes there. So I think those are the three big needs: is tight end, receiver, and O-line. And then after that, then it gets interesting. I mean, it depends on what happens with Harold Landry. And if you can't keep Harold, then I think maybe you got to edge becomes a need for you. I think you still got to keep going back to the well at corner, even though you've liked some young guys that you have, still some question marks remain. And then is this the year you pick a quarterback and you try to develop them? Either as the two or I don't know that that's necessarily a high need, but it's a position that's intriguing when you start looking at positions where the Titans could go.
Jimbo, good stuff, man. Great catching up with you, and can't wait to talk to you again. And again, buddy, just sending you a big hug, you and your whole family, and I'll certainly give you one the next time I see you in person.
Okay, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great week.
Yes, sir. Jimmy Wyatt right there at J Wyatt Sports Tennessee Titans.com. When we come back, I got some news that I bet will shock you. I'm betting that it will. Also got some Vol news about the spring game.
Was the keyword betting?
Lack thereof. It was. I bet you'll find that out next. Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. Multiple sources reporting this, news sources. Chris Harris of Channel 4 has done a fantastic job of explaining it. The Tennessee Vols won't have their usual orange and white spring scrimmage because of construction at Neyland Stadium, he says. Instead, now, Lucas, you may need to break down the lay of the land on this. Instead, the scrimmage on April 9th will be at 1 o'clock at the Anderson Training Center, and fans can watch it at the Volunteer Village at Humanities Plaza on 2 big screens.
Where is that at, Anderson? Where's the Anderson?
Volunteer Village at Humanities Plaza.
That might be something that was not around when I was in school 4+ years ago.
Okay, it hasn't been that long ago. We thought, for sure, Lucas has hung out at this Humanities Plaza.
Anderson is the team's outdoor practice facility. Haslam Field, just right there next to the big Brenda Lawson Athletic
Where's
Complex.
The Village? You don't know where the Village?
No, let me. What you said? The Volunteer Village in the what plaza?
At Humanities Plaza. This Volunteer Village at Humanities Plaza.
I wonder what botched the deal here.
Because remember, there was talk that it would come here.
Yeah, we even had Mr. Matthews.
Oh yeah, Doug.
He said
Snoop
he's
Doggy
the
Doug
first one
that approached that subject.
He said it wasn't guaranteed though, but
Right.
he said that's what they're trying to do. I wonder what happened where that didn't come to fruition. Maybe.
Oh, that's the area outside of the Humanities and Social Science building, right in the middle of campus. There's a big greeny area where there's a lot of tailgate stuff happening right across the way from Circle Park.
Oh, got you.
So usually it's a very popular tailgating area during game days that I guess they'll put up some big screens.
Rocky Top Insider reporting about the same stuff. They say they're going to have an all-vol weekend, April 7 through 10. So trying to make some lemonade, I guess, out of the lemons of stadium construction. I'm just telling you, I would have taken my show on the road and I would have gone and played. I would have gone and played it somewhere else. And fans like spring games more than anybody who has to necessarily take part in it because it's not always a game and it's some crazy point system where if the defense does this and that. But still fans like it. But you can't bring that traveling circus to Nashville and put it in Nissan Stadium?
Well, you've got Garth Brooks playing on the day that they were supposed to have their spring game.
Yep.
So I'm guessing that messed everything up, and I don't know if you can play a football game a week before that. They were going to do it on the 16th. That's when the concert is, so I think that's what kind of nixed that. But you're right. I mean, they could have packed out Finley Stadium in Chattanooga, no question, 30,000 or so people. I do have to ask you, is Butch Jones doing the crazy point system thing at Arkansas State?
For the spring game? Yeah. I don't know. I know that they're getting ready to start or have or will any day. I mean, I can find out real easy, but I don't know if he's doing that or not.
Just curious.
Fans just always wanted like pick sides and play some semblance of the game and let us just see. And no, some guys just won't do it.
Butch was like 2 points for a 10-yard gain. Minus 1 point for giving up a sack. Nobody knew what was going on.
Can you imagine being the graduate assistant or whomever is sitting up in the booth
track.
like is that 2 points? What? Okay, what's the score again? Fans just want to see guys play football and try to figure out something for what it's going to look like in the fall. More than anything, they just want to see the guys that they love play football. That's it. Here's the other story. But there's a lot going on today. Franchise tag stuff. David Njoku. Reports broke this morning that he was going to get tagged. It looks like also Mike Gesicki and Dalton Schultz. So like a bunch of tight ends getting the tag. Zeus Jr., the Chiefs left tackle, Orlando Brown. It was reported last couple of days that it's thought that he was the first guy that I saw that seemed to be getting it. But the tight end free agent market may be shrinking down from some of what you wanted. And then there's this story. Calvin Ridley, who played in not all of the games last year. I think he took some time off for mental health, if I'm not mistaken.
About mid-season, he stepped away.
He just got suspended for the whole season for betting on games.
And when he wasn't playing, but it was in November. I don't know if that's when he was out. So with his boredom, he decided to bet on some games. Don't know all the details, but this is kind of interesting because I want to know if he was actually betting on his actual game that he was or was not playing on.
He played 5 games.
No, but so he didn't bet on a game that he wasn't playing in because they said it was
a Falcons game.
A Falcons game because he said it was in November when he bet. The details that I've seen. So I'm interested. It's going to make the NFL. It's unfortunate he got suspended, but that's the rule at this time. But can you bet as a player, since the NFL is encouraging gambling in the NFL now, and you got these sponsors and they're heavily involved, should players be able to bet on games if it's just not their game? If you want to bet, I mean, we'll allow you to bet, but you can't bet on your game because you have a little more insight because you're on the team.
Right, like you'd know, I ain't playing this week.
And not to say that you won't know on some other teams, you know some guys.
Sure.
But I mean, it's kind of it's kind of interesting. We've gotten to this point where everything in betting. I guess they don't ever want their players ever betting. That's kind of how. They're suspending for the whole entire season.
And the activity, it says, took place during a 5-day period, like you said, in November. That's it. So it's not like he bet all week, every week. A 5-day period.
Spent the week in Vegas, maybe?
Where he was not with the team and was away from the club's facility on the non-football illness list. That's what it says about him.
Yeah.
How in the world would you get caught on that? You can bet legally all over the world now. On an app, you can bet anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, well, it took him this long to get him.
It sure did.
It took a minute, but man, I mean, he wasn't smart enough to have somebody else put it in their name, or did he do it online from a distance or something? I don't know, man. I'm not a bettor, so I don't know.
You can't tell your friend, hey, man, put a G on the Packers and Saints game this day. You couldn't do that?
Yeah,
I mean,
he may have thought that gamble's legal now, and so we can bet.
I can't wait till seriously though. I can't wait.
He's going a whole season without paycheck now,
right?
That's
because
big,
for 5 days he was wherever he was, and hey man, is there nobody in your life who's like, hey, don't do that, don't do that, you can't do that, don't do that?
Probably not.
Let me do it.
I definitely do. You cannot bet on games, but I'm not a gambler, so I wouldn't have been betting anyway. But everybody knows in the league that you can't do that.
Okay,
I'm like
Ding dong of the week.
Lucas, he was definitely on the ding dong list, and he was probably in Vegas hanging out. And teams have been calling the Falcons trying to get
this guy. Yeah. Well, don't have to worry about it now. There's one less free agent on the market.
Right.
Or one less cut candidate, or one less anything.
Watch a new rule come into play in a year, and then they can gamble on their game. Gamble on games.
Watch it happen, and if I'm him, I'm going to be mad. We can't be mad. We got to go. 3HL coming up next. Tomorrow, free agency franchise tag deadline. Sure, they'll be talking about that and a whole lot more. March Madness. It is a fantastic sports week ahead. 3HL's got you all the way home next.
And as always, in the meantime, in between time.
Yes, sir. Peace.